Ratusan pegiat startup mengikuti Global Ventures Summit 2017 selama 3 hari di Nusadua, Bali. Pengusaha besar, penanam modal, juga pegiat startup dipertemukan guna mencari solusi pembiayaan, bisnis startup, dan mencari pegiat startup brilian. Lantas seperti apa pelaku industri menanggapi outlook pasar ke depan? Akankah Indonesia menjadi raja di pasar regional? Outlook industri teknologi kami bahas lebih dalam di segmen The Analyst. Dan kini sudah bersama kami Ninou Sarwono, Emerging Technology Lead Capital Group Companies. Saat ini, halo Mas Ninou, selamat sore. Bagaimana update terkini dari sana? Karena sungguh kita juga begitu bersemangat ya, karena ini anak-anak muda pasti biasa startup itu kan identik dengan kaum-kaum muda, memiliki inovasi-inovasi luar biasa. So, how is it going?
I think it's definitely today is the last day, but it is actually the best day of all the 3 days. And the reason why is because, in fact, what's going on right now is there is 50 plus startups right now pitching their ideas, which I think is really good. And I see a lot of innovative ideas coming up, and the level of confidence is really high. I'm actually based in the U.S. market, and when I see the similarities between the U.S. market and the Indonesian market, it's actually getting much closer than what than what people might perceive. So I think overall, I see there's a high energy. There's definitely a lot of new ideas. There's VCs coming from outside that are connecting with the local startups. There's a lot more willingness for visi-visi dari luar untuk menanamkan modal di startup lokal di Indonesia.
Mas Ninou, apakah ada sebuah ide-ide terobosan yang belum pernah Anda dan forum dengarkan sebelumnya yang kemudian mencuat dalam pertemuan kali ini, Mas Ninou?
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting question. From our perspective, there's definitely a lot e-commerce, consumer-facing startup di Indonesia yang lagi dibangun. But I think the next wave that could be a huge opportunity for the Indonesian market and region is actually around fintech. And there is already some of the companies in the fintech areas, for example, Industri, Cek Aja. These are the local companies that are getting a lot of traction these days. But I think what's exciting is actually the fintech, even in the U.S., it's a huge market, and I think the opportunity that I see that is going to only emerge and grow is around fintech. And the fintech is actually a lot broad than what people might have thought about. In Indonesia, the focus is still very much on banking, payments, and lending. But if you think about the U.S. market, what's so-called the fintech 2.0, the fintech landscape is so much broader. So it's not just banking, it's not just lending, it's not just payments, but it's actually getting into regulation tech or reg tech. It's getting into asset management, getting into equity research, it's getting into capital market securities, blockchain, artificial intelligence. All of these are something that I hope personally that Startup Indonesia is starting to look at that as a potential opportunity and a problem to solve in that area.
Mengenai fintech itu menarik sekali, Mas Ninou, bahwa memang fintech berkembang, kita pun juga kemudian mendapat banyak alternatif. Tapi apakah kemudian ini akan mengkanibalisasi bagaimana fungsi-fungsi perbankan sebelumnya? Apakah startup perbankan akan mengambil jalur ataupun track yang saat ini sudah dirintis oleh perbankan tanah air saat ini, Mas Ninou?
That's a great question. I think from my perspective, we see fintech startup as more of a partner as opposed to a threat to a financial services institution. And the reason why is actually there's already a handful example of the bank-bank di Indonesia yang sudah mengembangkan program open innovation. And that's exactly what we're doing at Capital Group as well, that we are building our open innovation platform so that we want to get closer and work really closer to the startups. And the reason why is because the startups are the one that typically able to bring bear new solution, new technology in a way that is faster than if you were to develop it within the the bank four walls, if you will. So back to your question, I think it's more of a continued collaboration that I see. That's going to become the trend. In the past, if you ask me 2 years ago, the financial services institution in general see the startup as more of a threat. But I think now the big financial services institutions, they're really embracing the innovations happening in the startup scene and in the fintech.
Mas Ninou, how is your outlook for technology industry in Indonesia, at least like next year or 5 years ahead?
So that's a very tough question. I think it's definitely a very exciting time, and the reason why is because I think right now the world is a lot more flat. So if you ask me again 5 to 10 years ago, the same access to the tools and to the data and to the infrastructure, typically it requires a lot of capital to build. Now, those tools, those data, those infrastructure are all available at very minimal cost. And in fact, throughout the event in the last 3 days, you already see companies like Amazon and Google and IBM, they were here this week to pitch to the startups that, hey, we can give you free accounts to open up a cloud environment so that you can develop your startup solutions at a very nominal cost. So from my perspective, because the access to the tools and the data infrastructure is much easier, I think the prospect is quite almost the same. So the only barrier that I see is that talent development. But again, in the talent development, the access to education, like for example, if startup founders or the technology team wants to learn about design thinking or wants to learn about machine learning or artificial intelligence, all of those now are easily accessible through a free education portal, like for example Udacity or Coursera. So I think based on looking at it from the bottom up, based on now the access to those resources are so much easier. You don't have to be in the U.S. You don't have to be in the more more developed countries. From Indonesia, now you can develop the same type of solutions that you could actually develop in U.S. The key is developing that talent.
So talent development is one of very challenging for Indonesia's industry. Tapi saya juga ingin lebih fokus lagi ke Indonesia sendiri. Seperti apa kompetisinya ke depan, dan bahwa salah satu paket kebijakan ekonomi yang dikeluarkan oleh pemerintah adalah memberikan keluasan bagi sektor e-commerce utamanya karena bagian dari perkembangan teknologi ke depan. Apakah Anda melihat talent-talent di Indonesia bisa sesuai dengan target dan juga proyeksi bahwa Indonesia sektor e-commerce akan tumbuh sangat signifikan? Apakah yang menjadi penguasa di sektor-sektor teknologi fintech tersebut adalah anak-anak Indonesia sendiri? Anda memandangnya seperti apa ke depan?
Yeah, I think based on what I've seen from just the last 3 days alone, there is a company, for example, like Kata.ai that is already developing a solution that I see could be competing with a similar startup in US. So that's 2 days. I think from that one data point, I see that the growth is going to continue, and you're going to see a lot more of companies like Kata.ai to come up and build a solution at the same level as the other startups that maybe started in the US market or more mature market.
So Mas Ninou, proyeksi Anda berapa persen pertumbuhan untuk industri teknologi di Indonesia beberapa waktu ke depan? Anda bisa memberikan angka mungkin? Range angka?
Yeah, I think I'm not good at the number, but I think obviously the growth is could be at a higher rate than the growth that you see, for example, in US. And the reason why is because the opportunity, the ceiling is still so much higher compared to the ceiling, let's say, in US. Now, I think a lot of observation that I see is that when you look at the China market in 2008, it's actually very similar to where we are now in 2017. At that point in time, China market, the internet penetration is still below 40%, 35%. So when you think about the China internet penetration today, it's very close to the 80+%. So I think when you look at the pattern there, there's going to be some similarities. So what that means is that the growth from the 30+% internet penetration to all the way to 80%, there is almost at least 2x, 3x that could happen in the next 5 to 7 years. That's how I see it, from just the macro numbers alone.
Baik, proyeksi dan kemudian dikombinasikan juga dengan talent development yang optimal. Terima kasih Mas Ninou Sarwono, Emerging Technology Lead Capital Group Companies, telah bersama kami di CNN Indonesia Bisnis sore hari ini.